Kevin Gordon here from autosavant.com with your Valentine's Day edition of the Afternoon Commute. This is the 19th so far in the series. I've got a ton of stuff to go through today, starting with the fact that the Gordon family is expecting child number 3, which means one and only one thing. We went and bought a minivan. What did we buy? We bought a 2012 Chrysler Town & Country Touring L Edition with most of the extra goodies included. Like the driver comfort package, which gets you front rear heated seats, as well as the Chrysler heated steering wheel. We also got the 2 separate DVD screens. It's got keyless, entry with smart key, so it's got push button start. Why am I telling you that? Well, 2 reasons. One is we'll definitely do a sort of take 2 review on the Town & Country and provide some updates as to how it's doing as a vehicle. Of course, when we looked at it, there's, the 2 killer competitors in that segment are the Toyota Sienna and the Honda Odyssey. The Sienna I just couldn't buy because the seats in them drive me crazy. I don't know what it is. Toyota seats and I just don't get along. And the Honda, despite what all the True Deltas and everything else says, priced comparably was $11,000 or $12,000 more. So it took the chance on something that might be a little less reliable and bought one of those. Good news for me is the fact that MSNBC, that leftist pinko magazine, rag, whatever you want to call it, and of course I kid, came out today with an article that the Insurance Institute of America released the cheapest car to insure for the year, and that is the 2012 Toyota Sienna. And in fact, minivans as a category are the cheapest things to insure. When I called my insurance broker when I bought the minivan to tell him that I wanted to add it, he asked me if we were going to drop our Acura ILX off the policy, and if we were, that my policy would be like $125 cheaper a year. Now that's a 2008 Acura ILX, which, as a trade-in value would be worth about $14,000, is more expensive to insure than a brand new 2012 Town & Country. So minivans are definitely cheap to insure. Moving on, today Top Gear, one of their writers, supposedly had the chance to interview one of the lead engineers over at Ford. And what they were talking about was the engine that's going to wind up in the 2015 Focus RX. And because Ford no longer has the relationship with Volvo, the 5-cylinder, the inline 5 that's currently in the RS will no longer live, 1, because of the end of the relationship with Volvo, and 2, because of the fact that they couldn't get any kind of fuel economy out of it. So they'll be replacing it with a Ford-sourced inline 4 that displaces 2.3 liters, and of course is going to make, 300 and some horsepower. That's great and all. The interesting tidbit about this is the Ford engineer supposedly mentioned the fact that that engine is slotted to live in the 2014 Ford Mustang. So consider it a rumor at this point, but very interesting to know that Ford is potentially planning the return of a turbocharged 4-cylinder to live in a Mustang again, much like I have no idea about the years on this, late 1980s Ford SVO Mustang that some of you may remember. So that should be interesting, and of course it's about a Mustang, so I'll always talk about it. The next thing I wanted to talk about, if you've seen the 2006 documentary called Who Killed the Electric Car, about the GM EV1 in particular in the oil industry and sort of what happened to make that car fail. Well, I thought it was interesting because today Tesla Motors, who makes the Roadster and the S and is soon going to make that SUV thing in the future, is coming out in the news to basically say that they're going to pretty severely miss their quarterly expectations for the end of 2011. This goes along with Fisker, who makes the Karma, coupe sedan, fully electric vehicle that's had enormous production delays, and they've recently laid off a huge amount of their staff. So the question has to be is the electric car, at least in the specialty manufacturer division, getting killed again? Ooh, nice accident here. Hopefully nobody's hurt, but that is one smushed. What is it? Oh, it's a Ford Focus with the entire front ripped off. Anyway, so it should be interesting to see if the specialty electronic car manufacturers can continue to live, or if they're sort of doomed from the start, much like the EV1 was, and if anybody plans to make a documentary about that. Number 4 for today, Ducati, the wonderful Italian motorcycle manufacturer that makes something sweeter sounding than, oh man, a truck actually got rolled over as a result of this accident. Whew. I suppose I should edit that out, but that's part of the afternoon commute, We drive, we see things. Sometimes it's worthwhile to comment on. Probably most of the time it's not. Getting back to Ducati. So nothing, in my opinion, sounds sweeter than a Ducati. The open clutch, the gear-driven cam system, they're great things. Well, currently they're owned by a private equity firm, and there's been rumors swirling for a while that somebody may come out and buy them. And last year, almost exactly a year ago, at least getting close to it, AMG and Ducati partnered for some specialty things. Well, now the rumors are swirling again that potentially Daimler may be buying them, or potentially BMW or Volkswagen. If not, it seems like there's going to be an initial public offering, and Ducati may become a publicly traded company. Obviously, the people from the private equity firm that owns them are looking to get some cash back out of the deal. If I had to bet, it's going to be Mercedes that winds up buying them, and you can expect to see some interesting cross-branding there. But if I had to put money in the long shot, it would be Volkswagen that actually buys them. I don't know why, but I can just see a Ducati edition Jetta in the future of Volkswagen for some reason. And moving on, we've got 2 more things to talk about, both shorter ones. Today, Inside Line, the Edmunds review division, came out after discussing things with Porsche to report that the 2013 Porsche GT3 may not be offered with a manual transmission. And if you read some of the Porsche forums and, the traditionalists, they're not happy about this. And I guess I get that, Sure, Porsche's manual transmissions connected to the car, blah, 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 blah. But to me, the GT3 is supposed to be a race car for the street. Well, I hate to tell you, race cars these days have, dual clutch transmissions. They're, race cars. They're meant to be as fast as possible. So, it should be interesting to see what happens. There's also rumors that, much like the BMW M5, a manual transmission may only be offered in the United States. So that would be, interesting if it is, even though there's such a small take rate on manual transmissions, even on cars like the GT3 today. I think it makes up a little less than a third of their current sales today. And finally, the one part of the Chicago Auto Show that I didn't talk about yesterday, the Acura, and if I get this wrong, forgive me, I believe it's the Acura ILX, which is going to be the Acura based off of the Civic platform, was announced at the Chicago Auto Show. And, you know, this hits a special heartstring for me because for anybody who lived during the days of the early Acura Integras, they were such great cars. You know, both the four-door and the coupe, for that kind of money, with that engine that revved to where it did and made that kind of horsepower with, you know, what were they? The GSR spec Integras. Great cars. You know, this is Acura's hope to sell a higher volume car again and hopefully make some profits. To me, it is smelling like a bit of a failure before it's even started. Partially because of the fact that the fuel economy ratings are so low. It's going to be based, the engine in the normal one is going to be based off the current Civic Si motor, which makes 200 horsepower and not a lot of torque. And there's going to be a hybrid version, which is a smaller inline four with their, you know, Honda, whatever the heck drive it's called for the Honda hybrid cars. But here's the part that caught my attention. Even the hybrid doesn't get a 40 MPG rating on the highway, and its city MPG, I believe, is like 35. So either Honda/Acura is gaming the system to not get in more legal trouble for having, you know, overly exaggerated mile per gallon numbers, or Honda's way behind on engine technology in their cars. Again, my guess is that one's going to be a bit of a flop, but as usual, we shall see. So there you go, your Valentine's Day edition of the Afternoon Commute. Today will be the last day we're coming from the Hyundai Veloster. Stay tuned for our full review, both written and in video coverage, to be posted to autosavant.com in the near future. I'm Kevin Gordon, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.